states of property fund of Ukraine, we open our events, and I invite Grigor Katamadze to take the floor. I welcome all the participants of our event. So we start.
All the participants of the conference and wish you and your family good health. Also, I would like to thank our European colleagues who helped organize our event today. First of all, President of the European Economic Senate, Mr. Ingo Friedrich, President of Taxpayers Association of Europe, Mr. Ralph Baron for Hohenhau, General Secretary of the Taxpayers Association of Europe, my friend Michael Jagger. On February 21st, 2020 in Kiev, we held a large business forum, Ukraine Level Up 2020, with the participation of more than 1,000 representatives from Ukraine, Europe, from the United States of America, from post-Soviet countries, Middle East, and it so happened that over the past year and a half, it was the only offline conference. Colleagues, you remember that a very important ceremony took place within the framework of the forum. We signing of the memorandum between the Taxpayers Association of Ukraine and the European Economic Senate, according to which we became partners and agreed that our association will accompany the business members of the Taxpayers Association of Europe and European Economic Senate in the event of manifestation of their investment interests in Ukraine and vice versa. Despite the fact that since March 2020, all of Europe, including Ukraine, has been closed due to the pandemic, we have prepared a large investment package with proposals prepared by regional administrations of Ukraine. And then in the summer last year, we sent to our colleagues to the European Economic, to the Taxpayers Association of Europe. I would like to know that over the last year, Ukraine has become more attractive for doing business and has risen another 7 places in the World Bank's doing business ranking to 64th place among 190 countries. I'm confident that following the results of this year after the signing in December 2020 by President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, of the law of Ukraine on state support of investment projects with significant investments in Ukraine, the situation will improve many times because the law aims to stimulate and attract strategic investors, as well as introduction of state support for large investment projects. Previously, the prospect of protracted communication with the Ukrainian bureaucratic machine was one of the factors that, along with the insecurity of property rights and the imperfection of the judicial system, most deterred foreign investors from investing in our economy. Now they will be assisted by a specially trained representative authorized by the state. And the state itself, which through support mechanisms and preferences will provide up to 30% of project financing is not interesting in putting up roadblocks for investors. I believe that the adoption of such an important document is a positive signal for investors. Therefore, we took the initiative and addressed a proposal to the State Property Fund, the governmental structure Ukraine Invest, and our European colleagues to hold an online conference. And I'm very much hope that it will be constructive in the format of dialogue and will be useful for all parties, all participants of our conference. Dear colleagues, I apologize. I will be on this conference until 2 o'clock because I will go to Kharkov region. Yesterday, that our head of our Kharkiv region, our colleague from Kharkiv region, he was a very, very nice person, and I go to Kharkov on this event. And I hope that General Director of our association say a final words at the end of the conference. So I wish everyone a fruitful dialogue and give the floor to the chairman. Thank you.
Дякуємо пану Григору за дуже змістовну промову.
Thank you very much for your extensive speech. And now we invite the deputy head of the Ukrainian Association of Taxpayers.
Opportunity to introduce Ukrainian investment menu and investment menu, especially in the sphere of privatization. And first of all, really, I would like to wish everybody and family members a strong health during the special period. And I believe that in the nearest future, we will have the chance to travel, to have the opportunity to visit nice places, to look at investment opportunities also offline, finally. So Ukraine right now is one of the few countries in the world that still has a huge amount of state-owned property, and we have a very active right now initial market of state-owned assets. So during this conference, it's very important that we will have the opportunity to show that Ukraine is very open for investments, and we have a very interesting opportunity in privatization, especially that and the process we would like to represent also as opportunity, also the process of privatization that is very easily to participate and become the investor. We will describe the special moments of this process, the restrictions that we have in our legislation, and really the new changes, new amendments that will come with the law of investment nanny, and the support to all investors that we will provide in Ukraine. Also very important for us will be to get the feedbacks from you about current problems that you are meeting with, current issues, and what can be amended, what can be improved in this process. So welcoming everybody, and hope that we will have a very, very interesting discussion and really represent you all opportunities of Ukraine that are opening right now and currently on the table. Thank you.
Дякую, пане Тарасе.
Thank you very much, Taras. And I invite to the welcome word Ingvar Friedman.
Dear partners in Ukraine and in Europe, dear senators and dear friends, in the name of the European Economic Senate, I greet you all today very heartily. I am happy that you are interested in a good and intensive cooperation between Europe and the Ukraine. For all of us, it is of extreme importance that the new government make it easier and more attractive for foreign investors and investments in Ukraine. That is an interesting and new approach in the right direction. Due to our global experience in other parts of the world, we know that attractive conditions are decisive for foreign investors. The possibility of getting back the earned profits and the reliable security for private property are central prerequisites in these economic fields. Also, the tax is very important. Think about this. I think that the Ukrainian administration now took the necessary steps for basic reliefs for foreign investments. These steps also higher up the chances to import new technology, artificial intelligence, digital structures, and in global new ideas. All these topics are able to boost the economy and to help the civil society in Ukraine. In total, these steps will lead to a closer and more intensive neighborhood with Europe, with consequences in many other political and social fields. Therefore, we, the European Economic Senate, wish that this new form of a narrow connection between Ukraine and Europe is a successful start, and we wish good luck. Deciding steps are taken. Let's use them now.
Дякуємо пану Інго. І я запрошую.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ingat. And now I invite to the floor the Association of Taxpayers of Ukraine, Michael Hugenhau.
So we save some time. So that's also an experience also for entrepreneurs and associations. I really apologize. I would love to be in Ukraine, in Kiev. I've been there many times. I know Ukraine now since more than almost 20 years. And we did and made several approaches to link Ukraine better to Europe, because for us, with the European Economic Senate, with the taxpayers movement, we strongly believe that Ukraine is part of Europe. It's for us, it's clear, and we need anyhow a better relation and the exchange and the economic growth on both sides, so we should make use of it. That's why we welcome the approach of Grigor Katamadze and the Taxpayers Association of Ukraine to assist corporates and to look how we can boost the economy. And we made several approaches, and we tried lots. But I think now, if you look last week with this bureau of the founded bureau now and in Ukraine, so economic crime is to fight corruption. I think there are some points from our experience now after almost 20 years, what we would like to advise you or just to talk about some suggestions from our side. One is to fight corruption and to generate trust. So we welcome the implementations of the Bureau of Economic Security of Ukraine. That's why we joined last week this event. I think that's very important from this side, but also the exchange of experience and set up of networks. That was one of the results last week, that you get a better link to European Parliament. We are the Member of Parliament, Monika Hohlmeier. I think we should do this. And I also saw Larissa Apasova. We did lots in Brussels. You have to advertise Ukraine. That's I strongly believe. Look to South Tyrolia, only the apples. wherever you go to exhibitions, say promote fruits, vegetable, wine, and also industry of Tyrolia. And we do the same with Bavaria. So I think that's also necessary to be more visible in Brussels and in other cities, to explain the possibilities and potential of Ukraine too. And although what I think what is necessary is that we link governmental expenditures and aims, and that you control it. That's like in a corporate, a plan, you have a plan, and do you fulfill the plan? So I think that's also very important, and to create the right climate incentives for foreign direct investment, because that's what I think what you really need, not only investment of Ukrainian entrepreneurs and capital, also foreign direct investment. So you need investor security, state guarantees. If I or any entrepreneur from our side, from our network is willing to invest, and you have a political change, for sure, I hope that you have soon, the war will be ended. That's, I think, is the main topic for any investor, because people are afraid to invest and to lose their money. But I think that's also important if there's a political change, if a party is changing, a new government, that things are not changed, that investment and entrepreneurs can trust in the government, and also sustainable policies. That's really important. And that's why we also are in favor of transparency if it comes to tenders, a list of privatizations, like a catalog. Also, if you give money, subsidies or other incentives to entrepreneurs, just to list it, and that these things can be controlled. But also, if you look to the best practice to other countries, such as the small Republic of Moldova, they do they created tax hubs, tax incentives for investment, and tax cuts in VAT or VAT-free, tax allowances, all these things, always related in growth, in sales, and in jobs, so that people create jobs in Ukraine and not only use it as a paper box, as a postal address, just to benefit of the tax possibilities of Ukraine. And what was mentioned last week also, what I have in Germany too, tax ID number. My children, everyone in Germany has a tax ID number that you register, everyone, and also for natural persons, for corporates, or the VAT number, just to ensure that there is a control possibility, but everything is clear and transparent. And we also recommend one-stop agencies, what you are doing now, Invest Ukraine, that an entrepreneur is not, it's not necessary that he has to look himself what he can do if he want to buy or to rent land or an office or a plant, that he get some kind of assistance. So it's easier from this side, that there is a criteria, a catalog, he must bring these things, but you can offer other things too. I think that's really, really important. The exchange, this event is recorded, and for sure, if I get this English version, we can send this link, download link to all of our entrepreneurs. And maybe we should define also fields of investment. You have a high potential with agriculture. That's one of the fields, but also industrial production. So which are the main competences, the highest potentials for investors in Ukraine, so that we define this. And in this context, the exchange of experience, and I wish this conference good luck and fruitful discussion today, and I'm happy to assist anyhow Ukraine on its way to Europe and to peace and growth and to freedom. Thank you very much.
Дякую дуже за промову. І прошу до слова з презентацією.
Thank you very much. Yes, speech. I invite Mr. Yamenko, Deputy Chairman of the SPF, and Mr. Petrenko, Expert of the Office of Sustainable Investment.
Thank you. And we would like to show a small presentation about investments in Ukraine through privatization, about privatization area in Ukraine, because currently we are moving through the third wave of privatization, and I believe that that's final wave, because we have the first privatization in early 90s, the second in 2000s, and right now we have the political will, we have the operational capacity, we have the new law that was adopted in 2019, and we are moving forward with very interesting approach, very open approach to state.
Ich hoffe, dass ich auch gehört werde.
So maybe go to the next. Okay, here I have. So about state-owned assets in Ukraine. As I mentioned, we still have lots of state-owned enterprises.
Ich höre jetzt die anderen zumindest.
3,600 state-owned enterprises.
Stummschalten, beenden.
That are managed by
Teilnehmer zu.
government bodies.
Oben ist
We go now, Rolf von Hohenau is inside. I see him, so later, whenever you want, he can speak, okay?
Okay, so maybe we will finish with the presentation and then we will move forward. So we have, as I mentioned, 3,600 state-owned enterprises. Generally, right now, we understand that the state needs to conduct some important activities to the state. In average, 1,000 enterprises, all other can be privatized. And right now, the State Property Fund is in charge of privatization of 1,000 enterprises. If you are talking about these enterprises, they represent a totally different sphere of activities, starting from agriculture, finishing some extraction, machinery building, and so on and so on. So what is the current process of privatization? We really succeeded to change the process during last 2 years. So the process right now of privatization is very similar to M&A process in private business. So all people, first of all, we are scanning and uploading into virtual data room all documents about every asset. After that, we develop teasers. We provide access to virtual data room for due diligence for all investors. All this can be done through internet, all this stuff. So all investors have access to these documents. And after listing periods that last from 1 to 2 months, we conduct the transparent auction also through electronic auctioning platform ProZorro Sales, that is very well known in Ukraine and was awarded as the best anti-corruption startup in the world, according to Citibank in 2018. So in order to participate in the privatization, you shouldn't even go to the offline to the asset. You can find all documents, all information online in internet and get access to all this stuff. Also, we said in order to support the investors, we set the investment relations office in state property funds that helps all investors to pass through bureaucratic procedures, to answer all questions, to provide the support in privatization process. And I would like to give a floor to Felix Titarenko, who's leading this office.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues, friends, and potential investors for
Michael, do you hear me?
Rolf, gibt dir nachher das Wort. Lass nichts sagen, gibt dir nachher das Wort. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you're ready.
Okay, thank you. For possibility to say a couple of words about Investor Relations Office. I'm the head of Investor Relations Office here in State Property Fund.
Hello.
And I'm advisor of the head of SPFU and responsible for investor relations. We try to help investors, potential investors, to pass through all bureaucratic and non-bureaucratic procedures here. this is only a small part of whole reforms which have done for the last year. And thanks to Taras Yeleiko, he is deputy of State Property Fund responsible for privatization. And all internal reforms, this is his responsible, and we did it and doing now. Our general aim is renovate the investors' trust to Ukraine and to privatization process. And thanks to this, we try to be open for investors. We participate in different conferences. We signed the memorandums of cooperation with associations of taxpayers also. In this privatization, we will send this privatization to you. There you can find my contacts, and if you will have any questions or if you will have any interest to participate in privatization process here, please welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. And if any have some questions to Felix, you can send it to chat.
Yeah. So I will go further with, it will take roughly 10 minutes. So what was changed? Right now you can find, we launched the new internet site, and you can find all objects that are available for privatization on this internet site that is very user-friendly. You can sort these objects according to the type, according to the location, according to the auction type. You can also leave the remarks that you are interested in some specific object, and you will get the letter to your email when the listing period will be started. Also, so it's very, very user-friendly right now, and all information is available on this internet site. Also, we launched virtual data rooms for all privatization objects, where we upload all initial information as technical documentation, as all engagement agreement from these assets. All documentation is scanned, split it into categories and uploaded. And it's very similar to classical M&A deals. And you can find the same instrument all over the world. So we apply this instrument also for privatization, because the nature of the deals is very similar, and frankly speaking, they are the same. So we are moving towards the direction that every investor that comes to Ukraine and would like to invest into state property shouldn't feel any differences comparing to other, to private sector in participation in this investment activity. Also, if you are talking about privatization, it's split in Ukraine according to the law into two categories. It's small-scale privatization and large-scale privatization. What is the difference? Small-scale privatization is, there are the assets with book value below 250 million hryvnias, is roughly $9 million. And large-scale privatization in its assets with book value about 250 million hryvnias. So the difference, main difference is that small-scale privatization assets are prepared for the auction by state property fund, and large-scale privatization is prepared with attraction of investment advisor, external investment advisor, and it's classical M&A and classical acquisition process. So what assets? I would like to describe in general what assets in categories do we have, what interesting assets do we have. What is this? What assets do we have in small-scale privatization? So if you are talking about small-scale privatization, we will stay on different type of investment lines maybe. So the first, I would like to represent assets in alcohol industry. Ukraine was one of two countries in Europe that has had monopoly in alcohol spirit production. So this monopoly was removed last year, and we started the privatization of huge amount of state-owned spirit producers. We have 78 spirit producers. We have a huge amount of resources for spirit production, as corn here. So it's very, very investment attractive. And the auctions are held every week for these assets. So all investors are welcome who are dealing in this sphere. Because we have already a few foreign investors, also local investors showing a very, very high interest in this sphere. Because as I've told, Ukraine is the biggest exporter of corn, and spirit, it's like proceed of corn simply. So it's adding value to our agricultural business. The second area and second like set of assets, it's grain processing plants that we are moving to privatization. We have 7 such plants currently in privatization pipeline. They are placed in a very interesting agriculture regions. They are from former Soviet Union, but they are very big. They all have the railway road. They have a very big storage capacities and processing capacities. And really, they can become for agricultural business like the basement for further development. The next set, we are moving to privatization of assets. It's very interesting, interesting case, frankly speaking. From former Soviet Union, Ukraine got a huge penitentiary system that are currently not used for more than 50%. So we have lots of correctional colonies and centers that are not used, and the state has to spend a huge amount of money to support these centers. So the Ministry of Justice took the decision to sell them, to privatize 32 such colonies. And what if you are talking about colonies? Certainly, we are not talking about business of keeping some gangs or something like that. We are talking about a very huge, frankly speaking, land plots with all infrastructure, with all connections like gas, railway, electricity, that are placed usually in the center of big cities. So right now we launched 3 auctions, and they are very interesting, first of all, for development. We launched the 3 auctions in Irpin, it's near Kiev, in Lviv. It's very interesting object. It's 13 hectares in near the downtown and near the biggest park in Lviv, and in Odessa. Today we launched the auction also. It's 8 hectares in Odessa, in the Odessa city. Also, we have for privatization seaports. Currently, we are working on 3 seaports. It's small regional seaports, but they can be very interesting for transportation of agricultural, for transportation of fertilizers. They are placed in agri regions of Ukraine, and we are going to launch the auctions in the second, third quarters of this year for these seaports. Also, if you are talking about like set of companies, we can also talk about peat mining enterprises. Ukraine has a huge deposits of the peat, but it's used very, very poorly. So the state decided to move all these enterprises that are in, frankly speaking, not in a good state, but has a huge deposits to the privatization. Because we believe that it's very interesting business, and it can be export-oriented business, and investors show a very high interest in this extraction enterprises. Also, about a few words about large-scale privatization. So large-scale privatization, we are talking about really interesting and big enterprises, and during the last 15 years, Ukraine didn't sell any large enterprise from large-scale privatization. So the last one was Krivorizhsky steel plant. So right now we prepared already a few objects for privatization, and first object that we are going to market and is ready for privatization, and the auction we believe will be launched late by the end of this month, is United Mining and Chemical Company. Maybe not everybody knows about this company, but this is a really interesting asset because it provides roughly 4% of the general world titanium ore production. It's placed in Europe, and it's the biggest producer of titanium ore in Europe. And more than 90% of its production is exported to European countries. So right now we prepare this asset for privatization and waiting for adoption of privatization conditions by Cabinet of Ministers by the end of this month. And after that, the auction will be announced, and all investors will have 2 months to conduct due diligences of this asset. So also we have investment advisor for this mine, that is BDO, together with in consortium with KPMG and Baker McKinsey. So all investors are welcome, and all information you can find on our internet site. Also, Felix can provide you contact of investment advisor, and you can participate in this auction. Also, in our pipeline of large-scale privatization, we have Bolshevik plant. It was machinery building plant, where the biggest in Kiev, but right now it's not, frankly speaking, not operating in Kiev, but it has more than 32 hectares in near the downtown of Kiev, near the underground station. So it's very, very interesting asset for development of the whole district in Kiev. Also in our pipeline, we have Odessa port plant, but it will be privatized in 2022. Also, we have electricity distribution operators. We still, the state still has 6 regional electricity distribution operators from 24 that are operating in Ukraine, and we started the preparation process of this assets to privatization because the new RAB tariffs was adopted in 2020, and they took place from the 1st of January of 2021. So these assets became very interesting for and very comprehensively understandable for foreign energy operators, electricity distribution operators, and we started the preparation of these assets for privatization, and we believe that we will raise a very significant interest in this direction from the European investors, also from Asia and American investors also. So that's all. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you for this opportunity once again to show and to represent the investment menu of Ukraine. And it's not the investment menu that we are talking as about some forecast. We are talking about the assets that are currently on the table and ready for privatization, and investors that are interested can come and participate in these auctions in the next weeks, months, and quarters. So thank you a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Ileko. And I want to remind that everyone can type your questions to Taras Ileko and Felix Titarenko in chat. And now, please, President of the Taxpayers Association of Europe, Mr. Rolf Baron von Hohenhauer. Please.
Будь ласка.
Rolf, du musst dich unmuten.
Необхідно нам, кому треба включити, кому не потрібно виключити.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry that I couldn't enter at the beginning of the conference from here, but Grigol, I'm very happy that you made this conference. We had a very long and good relationship between the taxpayers in Europe, in Germany, in Bavaria, and the Ukraine taxpayers, and we were in a very good way. It was a step back when we had the Crimea War with the Russians, and now the second step back was Corona, which is very hard for all the investors who wanted to go there and to look for investments. But nevertheless, it's very specially interesting to make such conferences as we have them today, because we cannot wait till all these problems are solved. We have to go forward. And I think the climate for investments in Germany and in Europe, in the Ukraine, is very good. The Ukraine is our door to the east, and so I'm happy that we make this conference today. I hope that many participants will agree with me that it's one of the most beautiful countries. The Ukraine, I was there for many times, and together with Michael Jäger and Grigol, he showed us the whole country. It's really interesting for us, and it's not only a beautiful country, it's very interesting also from the economy and from the investments we can do there. So I wish the conference a very good result, and I hope that many of the investors can agree to me that it's very, very interesting in our times to look for new investments and to find them in the eastern part of Europe, with all these big markets which are waiting for us in the future. Good luck and a good conference.
Many thanks, Mr. Honchero. And now, please, Chief Executive Officer, Ukraine Invest, Serhiy Tsivkach.
To join this conference. I may also need to deliver apologies from the Ukraine Invest side that Mr. Serhiy Tsivkach, our executive director, is temporarily unable to join us and will be joining this panel shortly. Before that, I will be stepping in to provide you with certain aspects of his presentation. As Katerina has suggested, I would kindly ask the responsible organizers whether we can switch on the presentation. Thank you. Well, as you may see from the slide, we will be concentrating our presentation on the recent initiatives of the Ukrainian government and other relevant stakeholders to improve investment climate of Ukraine, and especially the focus will be provided to the system of state support of investment projects with significant investment. Some of you may have heard about the law that has been implemented in Ukraine in 2020 and put into action in February 2021, and I will be speaking about it a little bit later. Please kindly switch the next slide. As a matter of general introduction, you can take a look at the current slide to get to know and get acquainted with certain key facts of Ukraine as a potential investment destination. We'll be sharing this presentation afterwards so that I do not stop by on specifics which are indicated here, but this is quite a general picture indicating overall FDI stock, total export and import, current rates, current positions of Ukraine's economy according to key ratings, Fitch, S&P, Moody's, RNI. Something that you may also be interested in are indications of Ukraine's GDP, state debt, and international reserves. Please kindly switch the next slide. Thank you. Well, just to tell a few words about what Ukraine Invest does, so that you may have a broader picture of how this presentation will be going forward. Ukraine Invest is the government of Ukraine's investment promotion agency, so-called IPA, the institution or structure that you may happen to see all across the world. It is a kind of a bridge between the investment community and governments, which does provide and does work on providing the government with all the necessary feedback with regard to investment community's expectations with regard to investment climate and problems which investors may face, and especially on what is the best way to accelerate the possibility of reaping the benefits of investment opportunities present in the respective country. And Ukraine Invest is working in this realm, focusing on several aspects of it, which are, as is indicated on the slide, investment attraction, aftercare support, troubleshooting support, international cooperation, advocacy, and regulatory policy. They are all interconnected, and as we believe, cover all the necessary aspects of supporting investors working in Ukraine, especially foreign investors, in their efforts to implement investment projects in Ukraine. Please kindly switch the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evgen. Thank you. And now it's a little funny because we have one question, and this question is for Mr. Sergei Sipich, but he is absent. So maybe somebody have any questions to Mr. Taras Yeleyko or Felix Titarenko. Maybe you want to ask them, not in chat.
Colleagues, let's ask our European colleagues. Maybe they have any questions. Well, yes, I asked in English so far. No, we got no questions in chat or in line. So I tried to connect with Mr. Sergei, and if we wrap up, so let me say some words. First of all, I would like to thank all the European colleagues and all the heads of the associations of organizations and European Senate, all the representatives of our business communities, and also the associations of taxpayers. And I hope that those messages that we received from State Property Fund and Association of Taxpayers of Ukraine, they are heard. They have been heard, and since the very moment we have the opportunity to meet face to face, we will really raise up our activity. And I also would like to bring my words of appreciation to State Property Fund of Ukraine and Association of Taxpayers of Ukraine. And I would like to call upon all of us in order to foster the cooperation and increase the interest to Ukraine as the source of investments. And we hope that all our stakeholders will take part in all our future events in order to tell even more about the opportunities to invest in Ukraine and also the opportunities to invest from the part of Ukraine abroad. And I would like our foreign colleagues to hear that Ukraine also has the opportunities to invest abroad. And Ukraine is not only the let's say the receiving part of investments. We are active and we also can invest abroad in foreign countries, and in case we are provided with such information, it will only foster cooperation in the opportunities for Ukraine invest abroad, and also for the all tax Ukrainian Public Administrative Association of Taxpayers of Ukraine in Europe, European Economic Senates are ready to provide the support to and also the raising interest in of investment opportunities in Ukraine, and to provide support to all the future investors. We just got the message that Sergei Sivkach can connect now. So in 3 minutes we will have him here. Maybe we can start with questions, because in order to have professional answers in concerning the law, Mr. Sikic is able to provide a presentation to provide the answers to all the questions. And again, please accept my apologies for this delay. Okay, we stay on the same side, so no need for apologies. Yes, we really looking forward for your connecting to our forum, and we hope that we will proceed with the cooperation in all other areas. And in a minute, I will try to connect Mr. Sivkic. And now you have the opportunity to ask questions to Mr. Shepotko for the development. Let me ask a question. Maybe it will be interesting for all the participants. According to the law, what should be the investment in order to have a person who will take care about this investor and this investment, and to support this investment in investor in all the areas, whether or not we have such a mechanism? I would be very happy to answer. So I will switch to English.
To answer the question that Mr. Kadamadze has just suggested me answering is the question related to the specifics of the investment project, the specifics that the investment project will have to meet to be eligible for the state support in accordance with the law that I have just briefly touched upon. So as the law provides, the package of investment stimulus will be open to investment projects. And this is a very specific matter that not the investors, but investment projects are something that will be able to enjoy the benefits of this stimulus. And the law provides for a range of criteria which will have to be met. These criteria start with a threshold of 20 million euro. The threshold that specifies that the amount of investments that investor will be required to make into an investment project in order to be able to reap the benefits of the state support and the package of stimulus will not be less than 20 million euros. The second, as we suggest, criteria is the period of project implementation, and it must not exceed 5 years. At least 80 jobs, and this is the third criteria, at least 80 jobs must be created in the course of investment project implementation, and there are certain specifics requiring these jobs to meet the requirements of the payment that will have to be made to this to respective workers, which will be placed in accordance with these jobs. The investment project must include, and this is a fourth criteria, construction, modernization, technical or technological re-equipment of investment objects, and purchase of necessary equipment in its complementary parts. So 4 necessary criteria, or let's say requirements for investment projects, will be actually taking place in order for them to be eligible to receive state support in accordance with the law. And the law also specifies a range of I would say industries which will be eligible for the state support. And this is a very, I would say, long list, but just to name a few in order to provide you with the general understanding, this includes tourism, culture, arts, healthcare, logistics, education, the activities related to waste management, transportation, certain extraction activities with exceptions for certain types of coal and oil and natural gas. We will be glad to provide you with a specific and tailored advice with regard to how and what's the best way to I would say, make the application to the respective authorities in order to obtain the stimulus package. Ukraine Invest is acting as some sort of a guiding institution, a so-called authorized institution, which will be, upon request of investors, guiding them and navigating them through the whole procedure. We have also recently published our explanatory guide to the law, which will be updated in accordance with the course of adoption of necessary bylaws, which, as we expect, will be adopted in June in order for the law to be able to be implemented. And this explanatory guide is available in English on Ukraine Invest website. And of course, I reiterate, Ukraine Invest is open to providing consultancy and advisory services to investors who are or which are considering receiving or applying to receive the stimulus package in accordance with the law. Thank you.
This slide. So Ukraine is really undergoing real improvements in terms of its regulatory policy and investment climate. In 2019, 2020, we have seen a lot of significant changes in our regulatory policy. Things like cross-sectoral range of investment opportunities created by large-scale privatization. I'm sure that my colleagues from State Property Funds of Ukraine already covered that, or they will be speaking about it. Ukrainian government is adopting a solid deregulation plan since 2019. We improved effectiveness of IP rights protection by implementing EU best practices in protection of rights of investors. Also, we create better environment for public-private partnership investments in infrastructure by providing competition-based procedure for concession tenders. Competition in public procurement enhanced as well in Ukraine by establishing anti-dumping system and introducing supplier-initiated procurement procedures. Potential of financial sector is more unlocked now by improving functioning of capital market and commodity markets. Now, government of Ukraine with international partners working on a program to improve capital market system in Ukraine, and we can soon see a memorandum between government and key stakeholders signed in order to improve this even further and see first investors to come and work with our system of capital markets. Also, we have a very significant change in our regulatory policy in 2021, just this February. We have enacted, came into force the law, presidential law on support for investment projects with significant investments. And on my next slide, I will focus more on that. This is a real breakthrough in terms of development of investment climate in Ukraine. Next year and this year, can I go back for a second, please? One slide back. Yes, thank you. So we also have outlook for development of our regulatory policy. We are working on a reform in terms of multimodal transportation. This will enable Ukraine to connect to global supply chains more effectively. We promote investments in manufacturing and R&D by introducing special tax regime and granting customs immunity for residents of industrial parks. Ukraine is working on that as well. We're removing imbalances in employer-worker relations by introducing employer legislation and eliminating out-of-date, old practices. Also, we are working on providing foreign professionals with access to Ukrainian market by introducing e-residency system and promotion in IT sector as well, very important. Government of Ukraine is now, working on jointly with legislative body on introducing of DS City. DS City is the virtual economic zone for IT companies in Ukraine. We have very talented and strong IT professionals. Now they will get additional support, so we will see a strong boom in IT sector in Ukraine. This will be developing rapidly. Can I have a next slide, please? So next slide, it's about presidential initiative, legislative initiative, the one that I have talked about already. It has been enacted, and now government is working on bylaws, on secondary legislation, in order to make process to apply for this state support effective, easy and transparent. Next slide, please. So what are the criteria to be able to use benefits of that law? So investor must provide a plan for construction, modernization, technical or technological re-equipment of investment objects and purchase of necessary equipment and components to it. Investor should create at least 80 working places, and minimum threshold for such investment should be 20 million euros. And this 20 million euros should be invested within 5 years period of time. Next slide. The sectors that fall under definition of this law are quite vast, and this is very good, for economy and for investors. So who can apply? Companies that's active in processing industry, except manufacturing of tobacco, ethanol, cognac, fruit spirits, and alcoholic beverages. Waste management companies, transportation, warehousing, postal and courier activities, logistics, sports, tourism, arts and culture, hospitality, healthcare, R&D activities, education, and mining and extraction, but only with condition that such raw materials will be extracted in Ukraine, but also enriched or processed in Ukraine. Next slide. So what kind of support investor will get? State support will amount to up to 30% of investment made in form of so-called soft incentives. And these incentives may be in the form of tax exemptions, import duties exemptions, construction of related infrastructure, and provision state or municipality owned lands for use on preferential terms. And also, if such land will be provided for lease purposes, then investor at the end of the period of lease will have a preferential right to buy this land for his own purposes, for business purposes. Next slide, please. Also, what is important to mention that investor, as I said, will need to commit to 5 years, to maximum 5 years period of time to implement the project, but state in return will provide long-term commitment, and these state incentives can be spread in time for up to 15 years time. And this is a very good sign of state of Ukraine going forward to meet investors' needs and provide long-term obligations. So how does it work? We as Ukraine Invest were designated by the government of Ukraine to become institution responsible for support of investors according to this law. When investors are interested to apply, they can contact Ukraine Invest, and we will provide all information about the process. We will make sure that you will get contacted with responsible parties at central level, local level, or even at business level. So we will be your partners, your managers, and you can fully rely on us here. After we will go through all procedures, we'll explain to you how to apply, we'll help you to form your documents and make application, as easy as possible. Then you actually will have to submit this application to the Ministry of Economy of Ukraine, and Ministry of Economy of Ukraine will have up to 2 months to make assessment of this application. And then they will have 3 possible decisions. Decision number 1 is that this application is admissible. Decision number 2, that this is not admissible for some reasons. And decision number 3 is that this decision is admissible but needs to be improved. When application will be marked as admissible, it will be passed to government of Ukraine, and government of Ukraine will have up to 1 month to decide on signing of a special investment agreement between state of Ukraine and investor. This is very good. Again, this is about long-term cooperation, predictability, transparency, and ability to plan long-term. There also will be a possibility to sign a trilateral agreement between state, investor, and local government in case if such state aid will be partially provided by local government as well. Then we will have implementation of the project, and Ukraine Invest will be not only your partner at the beginning of the process, we'll be providing full aftercare support from you from day 1 of your idea to day 100 or day 1000 or day 10,000 in Ukraine, when you will be making your business profitable and feeling comfortable in Ukraine. Can I have next slide, please? I have explained already information about special investment agreement. What is important that the law came into force in February 2021, but there is no possibility yet to apply because we are working as well, government of Ukraine and specifically Ministry of Economy of Ukraine, working on bylaws and secondary legislation that are needed to have clear procedure and understand how to apply. Government of Ukraine already adopted 2 pieces of such secondary legislation, and we expect additional at least 4 pieces of secondary legislation to be passed within, hopefully within next month. According to law, government has up to 6 months from February 2021 to do that, but we are working hard in order to make it happen as soon as possible. At the moment, 2 pieces were passed. 1 piece is about, as I said, designation of Ukraine Invest as a responsible authority, and the second piece is on information that is needed to create feasibility study, which will be submitted as amendment to application. So these documents already can be seen by investors, and please do get in touch with us. We will provide you with this information. Next slide, please. I already covered this slide. Next one, please. And going back to our responsibilities, our activities, Ukraine Invest is a one-stop shop service for foreign investors in Ukraine. We are part of Secretariat of Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, we are a governmental institution. So we provide full support for investors according to this law, and not only. So any investment related activities that are in interest for you, or connected to your business in Ukraine, or maybe you just have idea to invest in Ukraine, just contact us and we'll be happy to provide you with consultancy, organizational support, aftercare support. You can talk to us about improvements in terms of regulatory policy, which is very important. We can be that communicating point between you and the Ukrainian legislative body or any other authorities that are responsible for improvement of regulatory policy in Ukraine. Next slide, please. Ukraine Invest Guide. I also would like to invite you to check this online tool. It has been created by Ukraine Invest. You can find it on our website, or you can simply scan QR code in the bottom right corner of your screen right now. So this is an analytical online book, electronic book, that has over 350 pages information about regulatory policy in Ukraine, about latest updates, about the sectors of economy of Ukraine. You can also find the information about specific investment projects, and so you can find the information about privatization. You can find information about public-private cooperation in Ukraine, and all other relevant information that is needed for investors. This information is updated constantly, annually, quarterly, and sometimes even on daily basis. When we receive new information, we strive to update this informational resource as soon as possible to make sure that investors have access to the latest information about Ukraine. But in any case, this information is general and initial. So after looking at this information, please do get in touch with us, and you will be also we will also nominate a special manager to your case. You will have one person in our institution who you can contact 24/7, anytime, with any inquiries related to investments, and they will be providing you with a very effective service. Next slide, please. One of the most important slides. This is where you can find information how to contact us. This is our address, our email address, our telephone number. We remain your reliable partner in Ukraine. Please do consider Ukraine. Ukraine is undergoing, remarkable changes in terms of regulatory policy and investment climate. We are ready to see, we are happy to see new investors in Ukraine and support already those that will do business in Ukraine. Thank you very much for this invitation. Again, thank you to our partners. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and apologies for this delay in connection to event because I was called to another important event on Green Deal connected to transport sector in Ukraine, which is very also important. We are aligning our practices with EU practices and trying to be that proud member of European family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sergey. Будемо рухатися тоді далі. У нас за списком є...
Shall we move forward? Maybe someone has questions about presentation of Mr. Sergey.
Yes, I would have a question.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much. It's always good if you can take a photo and with this QR code with the landing page. That's very good. I have very impressive. I know the approach, and it's really developing. Congratulations. I missed the agricultural. Is there no need? Is there no interest for foreign direct investment in the agricultural sector? That's one question. A second, because I have the experience of the Republic of Moldova, I see that they created several so-called tax hubs, so special hubs for investment. Also, German-speaking hub. So is this an idea for you too? And then why 20 million euro of investment? So if you want to start up a culture and if you hire 80 people, so do you calculate salaries also? Is it investment or is it in real estate? How you calculate investment? And why is this limit 20 million euro? So because if you have a small and medium entrepreneur and in Germany, let's say who is producing solar modules, whatever, he is maybe not even now able to invest 20 million, but he's willing to invest maybe 5 million and he has a plan. So how you calculate it when you said 5 years? So and the final question, if it comes to these founding real estate, is an investor owner of this property, or does he need a partner? So, or is he just renting for 50, 60 years land, for instance? So these are my first questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So going back to your agricultural question, and this is connected to reform on land. Is that what you're asking? So as you know, we have already started our gradual reform. It's a very sensitive as well social topic. I personally in favor of a full free market for land in Ukraine, but we are moving towards that, and Ukraine is making a good process. No one before was able to start this reform. We already have it. And it's on the way. 20 million euros, very good question. Initially, the idea was to have a minimum of 100 million euros. So it was brought down to 20 million euros, specifically, the presidential team, governmental team, members of parliament, they were working on this law during the enactment procedure, and it has been brought down to 20 million. Also, I would like to stress out that this is not a one-off investment. We're talking about 5 years period. So this 20 million euros, they should be part of one investment project that can be done by several entities from Ukraine or from abroad, because the law provides for same option as to foreign investors, same to local investors. So there is a possibility to create joint ventures and work on that. In terms of bringing down threshold, it's out of our mandate because we are not legislative body. But I'm sure that after implementation, after practical steps that will be taken, and after first applications, I think there could be a possibility for revision of the law. But we need to start with something, and then move forward. So we are happy to do that. In terms of special economic zones, a lot of debates in Ukraine. There are debates about special economic zones or any activities in different areas of Ukraine. We need more time to assess whether this will be happening or not. But let's go back to presidential law. We already have special tax regime, special custom duties regime for investors that can invest. So also we will have special tax regime hopefully soon for industrial parks, and there will be no threshold, less 20 million euros. So, and if you talk about this system, for example, in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, for example, in Turkey, there is no special regime for industrial parks, but there are different incentives that can be used by different sectors of economy and different size of businesses that operate. And that's how you put that joint package, that fits your specific business in specific sector of economy. So Ukraine is going, do we need to speed up? Yes. But did we do a lot during the last 2 years? Absolutely. So we are moving there. The most important thing is to have that passion and will, to change Ukraine and to make it work effectively. And we do have it. And also, I want to take this opportunity and invite everyone who is on the call today to watch our VIP investment conference that will be taking place in Dnipro. on the 27th of May. It will be opened by Prime Minister of Ukraine personally. He is flying to Dnipro to open it personally. It will be Deputy Head of Office of the President of Ukraine, high-level officials, top MPs from Parliament of Ukraine, key businessmen. We want to make sure that we have that solid and effective communication between center of Ukraine, regions of Ukraine, and business. Investments, they are not implemented in Kiev. They're implemented in regions of Ukraine. And we want to see regional authorities more ready to cooperate with them. And we already see that, because also decentralization reform has took its final stage at the end of last year. We can see more responsibility on behalf of regional governments. They are thinking long term now, and we are moving in the right direction, I'm sure. So anyone can register for tomorrow's event. My colleagues, please, could you please send the link to everyone who is interested? It will be a very interesting event. And
translated simultaneously, yes?
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Okay, so there's only one question left.
Yes.
This is foreign direct investment. So what do you calculate in this 20 million? Is it also the salary and these things? Because if you say, listen, you have to invest now in real estate 20 million. So I think I cannot convince anyone. But so
we talk about capexes. We talk about capexes, and also, as I said, the Ministry of Economy is working on secondary legislation. So there will be a special secondary legislation that will explain what kind of financial commitment, how you prove your financial commitment. So it's we're working on this now, and we will have this draft from Ministry of Economy. And trust me that we are on business side. We want to, as Ukraine, invest in Ministry of Economy as well. We want to make sure that that secondary legislation will not be a burden. It will be a clear procedure how to work with Ukraine. We have to, adopt the best practices, and we'll be happy to send all participants, as soon as we have this draft, send that information for discussion, and then for to get some feedback from you.
And also the question of the property rights is guarantee. Is this a liability of the state? Do you sign it if someone is buying, for instance, now this privatization, investing in a factory? So he wants to own this land for sure. And can you guarantee that he's keeping the property? So how you have this liability, if there's a new party, new government, how you ensure the foreign direct investor that his money he invested he keeps this money, it's not taken away.
As I said, it will be a long-term commitment. The contract between the state of Ukraine and investor will be signed for up to 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's a long-term commitment. Okay. And I'm sure that Ukraine is on the right way to ensure continuity in its political direction and business development, because you can see that the last two presidents of Ukraine, they have not changed direction in terms of cooperation with the EU. Mm-hmm. So we already see that beginning of continuity, because before we could see one president was in favor of EU cooperation, the other one was going the other way. This is not what's happening in Ukraine right now.
Then there's I see only one problem. If a foreign investor, he has to finance it. If he has to use Ukrainian banks for this investment, the interest rates are much too high. So I don't know how to solve this problem. So you need a foreign financing allowance too. Otherwise, if he has to take the money in the country, it's not.
Yes, we could see different types of cooperation here. I just met with one of the international development banks, foreign banks, and they already have experience of cooperating not through Ukrainian banks, but bank to lender.
Okay.
Directly.
Okay.
This could be a solution. It's a more technical thing. You need more steps to, for verification purposes, but this can bring down costs of finance to invest. Also, there could be facilities like state-private investment facilities in Ukraine, where you could kind of co-invest, and then investment will be made from there.
Okay. Thank you.
We are working on this as well.
Дякую дуже, пане Сергій, дякую. І зараз запрошую до слова.
Thank you very much, Sergey. Thank you. And now we invite Mrs. Людмила Герасименко to make the final word. Please, dear colleagues, dear participants of our conference, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. First of all, I would like to thank our friend of Association of Space Working namely Grigol Katamaz, and also the Secretary General of European Association of Taxpayers, Michael Yehera, for the close cooperation, for the constant support, in particular in organizing the joint events. And also, I would like to thank the co-organizers like Ukraine Invest. Thank you, Mr. Sergey, that you found the opportunity to connect, in also State Property Fund for Taras Yeleyko in person. And thank you all to find the opportunity to join our conference, and I'm sure that it will be really useful for all of us, and I hope that we will proceed with joint projects and keep up contacts. Why? Because Ukraine has really broad potential for this, and with the new law, new opportunities are opened, and Sergey spoke about it. So for inviting the foreign capital to Ukraine, and we will be very thankful for all our partners from other countries who joined our conference, for their interest in presented investment projects. Dear colleagues, the Association of Taxpayers of Ukraine is your partner, constant partners to whom you can trust, and sincerely yours, Ludmila Gerasimenko. And Michael, I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person, offline, not online. We are waiting for you since February last year. My sincere appreciations to all of you. We will send you in the English version of Taras and Sergey. And in case you have any questions, Mike, please, you know our email, you know our debit. We will provide you with all the documents in English version.
The State Property Fund are always open for cooperation and communication. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
May I add something? Maybe we can have a summary in English with the bullet points, and already the link that we can send it to our economic network. We have the Economic Council of Bavaria, the Eastern Western Association, we are a member of the board, said we advertise this really excellent presentations and the possibilities now you have in Ukraine. Just we spread it a little more. So if I get some papers, PDF file, whatever, and links with contact data, it must not be always the head of an association, but someone who could be the contact person, that would be really helpful for further information, just to make a direct link for people so that people can connect with you directly. So I dislike to be in the sandwich position. So I like to assist anyhow, personal, but it's better if they are matched directly to you. So take care.
Thank you.
And peace, low taxes. Peace and low taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Yegeya.
Майк, ти обов'язково зробимо.
Yeah, we will do it. We will do it for sure. Thank you. Again, I express my sincere appreciations for everyone for participation, for very interesting presentations, and for all the participants that have connected in there. And we will hope for the future cooperation. We're looking forward to it. We are open for cooperation, and we wait for your messages. And thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, and I wish you a nice day. Thank you.